Have you ever wondered what happens when burglars realize they've made a colossal mistake? Breaking into a home might seem like an easy score, but sometimes the tables turn in ways no thief expects. From MMA-trained homeowners to pint-sized pets with massive attitudes, these real-life stories highlight the hilarious and ironic outcomes of picking the wrong house. Today, we're diving into the world of bungled break-ins and unexpected justice. These aren't just tales of crime. They're cautionary lessons for anyone who underestimates the power of the human spirit. So, buckle up for a countdown of moments where burglars left with bruised egos, or worse, because they picked the wrong target. Let's kick things off with an 82-year-old powerhouse who proves age is just a number. 1. The powerlifting Granny Willie Murphy, an 82-year-old retired bodybuilder from Rochester, New York, was getting ready for bed when a man banged on her door late at night, claiming he needed help. Sensing something suspicious, she refused to let him in. Moments later, the man forced his way into her home. What he didn't know was that Murphy could deadlift more than twice her body weight. Instead of panicking, she grabbed the nearest object, a table, and swung it at the intruder. The table broke, but Murphy wasn't done. She grabbed a broom and continued to strike the man, then poured a bottle of shampoo over him to make his escape even more slippery. By the time police arrived, Murphy had not only subdued the burglar, but ensured he wouldn't try breaking into another house anytime soon. Her story became a sensation, and Murphy was hailed as a real-life superhero. This wasn't just a tale of self-defense. It was a lesson in resilience, proving that strength comes in all shapes, sizes, and ages. While this intruder underestimated his target, the next burglar on our list made an equally poor judgment call. 2. The MMA homeowner. Imagine breaking into a house, only to realize you've walked straight into a cage fight. That's exactly what happened when two intruders targeted a home in Chicago. What they didn't know was that the homeowner was a seasoned mixed martial arts practitioner who had been training for years. The confrontation began in the living room, where the homeowner spotted the burglars rummaging through his belongings. Instead of backing down, he launched into action with the precision of a professional fighter. One burglar managed to land a solid hit, but that only seemed to fuel the homeowner's determination. After a quick recovery, he delivered a series of expertly timed strikes, leaving one intruder immobilized while the other fled the scene. To ensure the remaining burglar didn't escape, the homeowner detained him until the police arrived. Footage of the incident later went viral, with many applauding the homeowner's composure and skill under pressure. This wasn't just about protecting his home, it was a masterclass in using one's training when it truly matters. From bodybuilders to fighters, these stories show us that burglars can never truly predict what awaits them behind closed doors. And if you thought physical defense was impressive, wait until you hear how a paintball gun turned the tables on the next set of thieves. 3. Paintball justice. Not all homeowners rely on brute strength to fend off intruders. Sometimes creativity is the best weapon. One homeowner decided to turn a theft attempt into an impromptu paintball showdown. The incident occurred late at night when two thieves crept into a driveway, armed with tools and planning to steal a catalytic converter from a parked vehicle. They thought they'd hit the jackpot until the car alarm blared, shattering the silence. The homeowner, who had been keeping a watchful eye from inside the house, burst out wielding a paintball gun. What happened next could only be described as a colorful wake-up call. Paintballs whizzed through the air, pelting the stunned thieves who scrambled to escape. Their plans for a quick profit evaporated as they retreated, leaving their tools and their dignity behind. Paintball guns might not be conventional security systems, but in this case, they were highly effective. Not only did the thieves leave empty-handed, but they also got a painful reminder to rethink their choices. This story proves that a little ingenuity can go a long way in protecting what's yours. While this encounter was all about quick thinking and resourcefulness, our next story takes a hilarious twist when a burglar gets too comfortable and ends up in the most ironic predicament imaginable. 4. The sleepy intruder. When breaking into a house, staying alert is critical. Unfortunately, one burglar in Thailand learned this the hard way. It all started around 2 in the morning when the 22-year-old broke into what he thought was an easy target. As he searched for valuables, the cool air from the home's air conditioning and the inviting warmth of the bed proved too tempting to resist. Instead of completing the burglary, the thief decided to take a nap. He tucked himself into the sheets, drifting into a peaceful slumber. However, his plans for a quick getaway unraveled when the homeowner returned and noticed the bedroom's air conditioning running. Curious, they discovered the intruder fast asleep in their bed. The twist? The homeowner turned out to be a police officer. It didn't take long for the officer to wake the groggy burglar and place him under arrest. The thief, still disoriented from his impromptu nap, barely realized what was happening as he was escorted out of the house in handcuffs. This comedic fail highlights that even criminals need to choose their priorities wisely. And while this burglar lost to his exhaustion, the next one lost to a homeowner who was ready and waiting with a baseball bat. 5. The mail slot fiasco. Sometimes burglars attempt the most ridiculous strategies to gain access to a house. In this case, a thief tried to break in by reaching through the home's mail slot. The goal? Unlock the door from the inside. Unfortunately for him, the homeowner had already spotted his fumbling fingers and decided to intervene. As the intruder stretched his hand through the narrow slot, the homeowner grabbed a nearby baseball bat. With one swift swing, they struck the burglar's exposed hand. The loud yelp that followed echoed through the quiet neighborhood as the burglar immediately abandoned his plans and bolted. The thief not only failed to enter the house but also left with a bruised hand and an unforgettable lesson in karma. The incident became a talking point among neighbors, many of whom applauded the homeowner's quick thinking. This story is a classic example of how burglars can underestimate even the simplest obstacles like a mail slot. And while this thief's plan was crushed in mere seconds, the next burglar on our list faced an even more humiliating outcome, courtesy of a clever trap. 6. Trapped in the cell phone store. Sometimes burglars find themselves trapped by their own poor planning, quite literally. In Houston, Texas, a thief decided to rob a cell phone store late at night. Armed with a weapon and plenty of confidence, he demanded cash from the employees, believing he had the situation under control. What he didn't anticipate was just how resourceful the staff could be. As soon as the thief's attention shifted, the employees quietly exited the store through a side door. Thinking he had achieved victory, the burglar took his time collecting valuables. But the tables turned when he tried to leave. The quick-thinking employees had locked the door behind them, trapping him inside. Desperate to escape, the thief attempted everything from throwing objects at the glass to firing his weapon at the door locks. None of his efforts worked. Passers-by, alerted by the commotion, watched in confusion as the burglar's frantic attempts to flee turned into a comical display of futility. 6 minutes later, police arrived to find the would-be thief with his hands raised, ready to surrender. This story is a perfect example of how overconfidence and lack of foresight can backfire spectacularly. But if you think this was embarrassing, the next burglar on our list faced a homeowner who didn't just protect his property. He tackled the thief like a pro athlete. 7. The football tackle. Sometimes it takes more than quick thinking to stop a burglar. It takes quick feet. In California, a would-be thief targeted what appeared to be an easy score, a bicycle left out in a suburban yard. Unfortunately for him, the bike belonged to a former football player who had the speed, agility, and tackling skills to rival any NFL star. The homeowner had been watching his security cameras and saw the thief approach his bike. Instead of calling the police, he decided to take matters into his own hands. The moment the burglar grabbed the bike, the homeowner burst out of his front door at full speed. What followed was a chase that could rival any Sunday football highlight. With a well-timed leap, the homeowner tackled the thief, sending both of them and the bike sprawling onto the street. The stunned burglar scrambled to his feet and bolted, leaving the bike and his pride behind. The footage of the incident went viral, earning the homeowner praise for his fearless defense of his property. This story reminds us that you never know who's watching or how fast they can run. And while this thief was outpaced, the next criminal faced an even more disastrous outcome, proving that not every smash-and-grab plan goes as intended. 8. The ATM chain reaction catastrophe. In Queensland, Australia, one thief believed he had devised the perfect plan to steal an ATM. Armed with a stolen truck, a heavy-duty chain, and misplaced confidence, he set his sights on a small convenience store. The plan was simple. crash through the glass doors, attach the chain to the ATM, and drag it away. Unfortunately, execution is everything. After smashing through the storefront, the thief meticulously secured the chain to the ATM, jumped into his truck, and hit the gas. To his horror, nothing happened. The chain wasn't attached to the vehicle properly, leaving the ATM and the thief's plans completely stationary. Refusing to give up, the thief attempted to fix his mistake, but in his haste, he left the chain too short to connect to the truck. After several more failed attempts, the thief fled the scene, leaving behind shattered glass, a dented ATM, and his shattered pride. The entire incident was captured on security cameras, which later became a source of laughter for viewers worldwide. This story highlights the dangers of overconfidence and poor planning, especially in high-stakes situations. And while this thief left empty-handed, the next burglar we'll meet found himself caught in a very different kind of trap, one that involved a compassionate homeowner with an unexpected approach. 9. The compassionate homeowner. Not every homeowner reacts to burglars with force. Some take an entirely unexpected approach. In one remarkable case, a man caught a thief trying to break into his home. Instead of resorting to violence or calling the police immediately, the homeowner decided to have a conversation. When he confronted the burglar, he noticed something familiar in the intruder's desperation. Rather than shouting or threatening, he chose to lower his voice and asked the burglar why he was doing this. The conversation quickly turned into a heart-to-heart, with the homeowner offering advice and even proposing to help the man find legitimate work. "This isn't the life you want to live," he told the intruder. Incredibly, the burglar broke down and agreed. By the time the police arrived, the situation had de-escalated completely. The homeowner even vouched for the burglar, asking the officers to give him a second chance. This story is a rare example of compassion triumphing over conflict, proving that kindness can sometimes diffuse even the tensest situations. While this encounter ended on a surprisingly positive note, the next story shows how some burglars aren't just outsmarted by homeowners, they're completely humiliated in broad daylight. 10. Daylight deterrent. Most thieves prefer to operate under the cover of darkness, but one particularly bold burglar decided to test his luck in the middle of the afternoon. The target? A parked car in a residential neighborhood. Unfortunately for him, the car's owner was not only watching, but also recording the entire event. As the thief worked to break into the vehicle, the homeowner walked right up to him, phone in hand, and started asking sarcastic questions. "Are you sure you know what you're doing? Can you even drive a stick shift?" The thief froze, unsure how to respond as the camera rolled and the mocking continued. Realizing he was being recorded, and that his face was now plastered all over the homeowner's social media, the burglar panicked and fled. His attempt at stealing the car turned into an awkward walk of shame, and within hours, the video had gone viral. This story demonstrates the power of quick thinking and modern technology in deterring crime. While this thief escaped empty-handed, our next burglar wasn't quite so lucky. His own pride and overconfidence led to his downfall in the most ironic way possible. 11. The social media show-off. Some burglars are caught by security cameras. Others, like this 19-year-old bank robber, incriminate themselves. After pulling off what she thought was the perfect heist, stealing $6,000 in cash, she couldn't resist bragging about her success. Instead of laying low, she decided to broadcast her victory on social media. In a series of posts, she showed off the stolen cash and even included handwritten signs detailing how she had pulled off the robbery. She called it the best day of her life and smiled proudly into the camera. What she didn't realize was that the post served as direct evidence for law enforcement. The police, tipped off by her followers, quickly identified and arrested her. Her social media antics turned what could have been a quiet escape into a publicized downfall. The irony? Her attempt to gain internet fame landed her in prison instead. This story is a cautionary tale about the dangers of overconfidence in the digital age. And while she broadcast her mistakes for the world to see, the next burglar on our list learned the hard way that persistence doesn't always pay off. 12. The persistent burglar. Sometimes burglars think persistence will pay off, but one thief learned the hard way that returning to the same house isn't always a good idea. In this case, a man repeatedly targeted a home over the course of several weeks, believing he could eventually outsmart the homeowners. However, what he didn't count on was their determination to outwit him. After the first break-in attempt, the homeowners upgraded their security system, adding motion detectors and cameras. When the thief came back, the cameras captured his every move, forcing him to flee before stealing anything. Undeterred, he tried a third time, only to encounter an even bigger surprise. The homeowners had installed reinforced locks and set up an alarm system. On his fourth and final attempt, the burglar was met with the ultimate deterrent, a waiting police officer. The homeowners had been tracking his movements through the security footage and coordinated with local authorities to catch him in the act. He was arrested on the spot, and the repeated failures became a talking point in the community. This story highlights that no matter how persistent someone might be, it's no match for preparation and teamwork. And while this burglar's arrogance led to his capture, the next group of thieves faced an equally embarrassing fate thanks to their lack of planning. 13. The botched getaway. Even the best laid plans can go awry, but for one group of burglars, their getaway was doomed from the start. The heist began smoothly enough with two thieves breaking into a suburban home while their getaway driver waited outside. However, things quickly unraveled when the burglars panicked after hearing a noise, bolting back to the car before completing the theft. In their rush, they failed to notice a crucial detail. The homeowner had anticipated their escape route. As the burglars piled into their getaway car, the homeowner backed his own car out of the garage at full speed, crashing into the thieves' vehicle. The impact not only disabled their getaway car, but also left them trapped until police arrived. The entire incident, caught on security cameras, became a viral sensation. Neighbors praised the homeowner's quick thinking, while the burglars became an online laughingstock. This story is a testament to the power of staying calm under pressure and the importance of double-checking your plans. While these thieves were stopped by a homeowner's quick actions, the next criminal faced a challenge of a different kind, proving that sometimes the simplest security measures can cause the most embarrassment. 14. The smartphone snatcher. In a world full of high-tech gadgets, some thieves still fail to understand how modern security measures work. A would-be burglar in a phone store decided to grab a brand new smartphone from the display, thinking it would be an easy snatch and dash. Unfortunately for him, the phone was tethered to the display with a security cord. The thief confidently grabbed the device and spun around to flee, only to be yanked back by the tether. The sudden stop caused him to stumble, and the phone went flying out of his hand, landing with a loud crash. Startled and humiliated, the thief froze for a moment before awkwardly shuffling out of the store, leaving behind the shattered phone and his dignity. The incident was caught on the store's surveillance cameras, and the video quickly made its way online, where viewers couldn't stop laughing at the thief's amateur mistake. While no charges were pressed, the embarrassment alone was likely enough to deter him from trying again. This story shows that even the smallest details, like a simple security cord, can be enough to foil a poorly thought-out plan. And as embarrassing as this encounter was, the next thief on our list faced a much more public humiliation after trying to steal from a neighborhood porch. 15. The porch pirate's walk of shame. Porch pirates have become a frustratingly common nuisance, but one thief learned that not every heist ends with a clean getaway. In this case, a man casually strolled up to a house, grabbed a package from the porch, and disappeared around the corner. He likely thought he had pulled off the perfect crime until the homeowner intervened. The homeowner had been watching the entire scene unfold through a smart doorbell camera. Instead of calling the police immediately, they decided to take matters into their own hands. Tracking the thief down just a few houses away, the homeowner confronted him and demanded the package back. Under the sharp gaze of several neighbors, the embarrassed thief reluctantly returned to the porch, package in hand. The entire incident was captured on video and quickly went viral online, earning the thief a well-deserved reputation as the neighborhood's least successful porch pirate. The sight of him marching back to the house, accompanied by an angry homeowner, is a moment of sweet justice for anyone who's ever lost a package to theft. This story is a reminder that sometimes the embarrassment of being caught can be a stronger deterrent than any legal action. And while this thief's walk of shame was humiliating, the next burglar on our list faced an even more surprising adversary, a tiny but fearless dog. 16. The tiny dog defender. Who says size matters? One pair of burglars found themselves face to face with a pint-sized protector that proved more than enough to send them running. The duo had scoped out what they thought was an easy target, assuming the house was empty. However, as soon as they stepped inside, they were met with the furious barking of a small dog that clearly didn't get the memo about its size. The tiny pup wasted no time, darting toward the intruders with all the ferocity of a much larger animal. Startled by the unexpected resistance, the burglars panicked, tripping over furniture in their haste to retreat. The dog's relentless barking didn't stop until they were completely out of the house. Later, security footage of the incident showed the tiny dog chasing the would-be burglars out the front door, earning widespread admiration online. Many viewers joked that the dog deserved a medal for its bravery. This story proves that courage isn't about size, it's about heart. And while this fearless pup saved the day, the next thief on our list wasn't outsmarted by an animal or a person, but by their own poor judgment and a ceiling that simply couldn't hold their weight. 17. The clumsy ceiling crasher. Breaking into a property undetected is a burglar's dream, but one thief's attempt to sneak into a restaurant ended in a noisy and painful disaster. The plan? Drop in through the ceiling, avoid the security system, and make a clean escape with cash and valuables. The reality? Gravity had other ideas. As the burglar crawled through the ceiling panels, the structure gave way beneath him. He plummeted directly into the dining area, surrounded by a pile of broken tiles and debris. Startled by the loud crash, restaurant staff rushed out to investigate, quickly realizing what had happened. The dazed thief attempted to flee, but his dramatic fall had already alerted the authorities, who were on their way. Security cameras captured the entire incident, and the footage became an internet sensation. Viewers couldn't get enough of the burglar's clumsy descent and failed escape attempt. It was a moment of poetic justice for a man whose plan quite literally fell apart. This story serves as a cautionary tale for anyone attempting an overly ambitious break-in. And while this thief's misstep was undoubtedly embarrassing, the next burglar faced a much more high-tech deterrent, proving that smart home technology is a criminal's worst nightmare. 18. Doorbell justice technology has changed the game when it comes to home security, and smart doorbells have become a burglar's worst nightmare. One group of thieves learned this the hard way when they targeted what seemed to be an ordinary suburban home. Their plan was straightforward: kick in the front door, grab what they could, and get out fast. What they didn't realize was that the house was equipped with a smart doorbell camera. The moment they approached, the camera's motion sensors activated, alerting the homeowner, who was miles away at work. Watching the intruders in real time, the homeowner immediately called the police and used the doorbell's speaker to confront the burglars. Hearing the homeowner's voice echoing through the quiet street startled the thieves, and they panicked, stumbling over each other in their haste to escape. By the time they reached their getaway car, the police were already en route, armed with clear footage of their faces and vehicle. The smart doorbell had turned what could have been a successful burglary into a complete disaster. This story is a testament to how modern technology continues to outsmart criminals. But while this incident ended with a quick escape, the next burglar wasn't so lucky. His overconfidence led to one of the most humiliating moments of his life. 19. The overconfident escape artist. There's nothing worse for a thief than being caught in the act, unless, of course, you also fail to make a clean getaway. That's exactly what happened to one burglar who thought he had an easy escape planned after stealing from a residential home. Armed with a small bag of stolen goods, he dashed toward a fence, ready to leap to freedom. Unfortunately for him, he severely underestimated the height of the fence. As he attempted to climb, his foot slipped, and he fell awkwardly to the ground. Shaken but determined, he tried again, only to face the same result. Each failed attempt seemed to add to his frustration and panic. What made the situation even worse was the homeowner standing just a few feet away, calmly watching and recording the entire fiasco. Realizing he wasn't going anywhere, the thief eventually gave up and sat on the ground, waiting for the police to arrive. The footage of his failed escape quickly went viral, earning him the nickname, the world's worst getaway artist. This story serves as a reminder that sometimes a bad plan is worse than no plan at all. And while this thief's misjudgment ended in humiliation, our final story takes the idea of irony to a whole new level. 20. The Midnight Meat Muncher. In what might be one of the strangest burglary attempts ever, a man in Austin, Texas, decided to break into a butcher shop in the middle of the night. His target? Not the cash register, but the sausages. Surveillance footage showed the thief smashing his way into the store, heading straight for the display case and carefully selecting the finest cuts of meat. What followed was even more bizarre. Instead of making a quick getaway, the burglar sat down in the shop's office and began devouring his midnight feast. After finishing his meal, he grabbed a coat to use as a blanket and fell asleep at the desk, surrounded by the very evidence that would later incriminate him. The next morning, employees arrived to find the man snoring peacefully amidst the aftermath of his break-in. Needless to say, the police had no trouble apprehending him, and he was promptly charged with criminal trespassing. This story is the perfect conclusion to our journey through the world of failed burglaries. From creative homeowners to fearless pets and even gravity itself, these tales remind us that crime doesn't pay, but it often entertains. So next time you hear about a burglary gone wrong, remember the lessons from these hapless criminals and their unforgettable mishaps. With that, we have reached the end of today's video. If you have come this far with us, be sure to check out other videos on the channel.